You know, if I were to describe this experience of being back on campus in one word, after almost 50 years, this has been almost spiritual. I mean, it really has. I never thought I would be touched or have these emotions today, just being back on this campus, but it really is. It brings back so many memories, so many experiences that I shared with a lot of great people here while I was my time at OU. I certainly enjoyed being a Sooner and being a part of the OU institution, but more importantly, being a part of the OU family. To me, OU, that represents Oklahoma. And my thought was, if you're going to go to college, go to the best one that you can. And for me, that was OU. See, this was called the J-Lab, and this was the center of activity, the focal point for the daily paper. We wrote our stories here, we wrote our headlines, we edited our stories, put the paper to press each day. This was also where Mrs. Moore, the advisor for the paper, had her office. I was blessed, I was fortunate enough to serve as her graduate assistant during my graduate years here. I learned so very much from her, not just about journalism, but just about being a good, decent, honorable person. I loved writing, and I loved sports, and I thought that would be my future. But the year I graduated, there was the Vietnam War.
We have learned at a terrible and a brutal cost that retreat does not bring safety. And it is this lesson that has brought us to Vietnam.
I can remember distinctly telling my dad that I was very seriously considering becoming a draft dodger. And my dad kind of smiled and said, "Well, how do you propose to do that, son?" And I smiled back and I said, "Well, Dad, I'm thinking about joining the Marine Corps." What's the utility of a journalism degree for an infantry Marine? The ability to write, the ability to speak, the ability to read. And maybe the most important one is the one we overlook the most, the ability to listen. The ability to communicate was probably the greatest asset that I could have had than any other subject I could have pursued in college. I probably traveled close to, well, over 90 different countries. But Vietnam was an absolute tragedy. I've never seen such poverty. They had lost their identity in many respects, and that's what they were attempting to achieve more than anything. But it was a very unpopular war. It was a war of protest. It was a war that virtually fragmented our nation. But it happens. And someone has to be there to protect those that cannot protect themselves, and I think that's what we were initially doing with the South Vietnamese. I've had opportunities to command at every level, from platoon, which is about 50 Marines, to a division, which is 20,000 plus Marines. I've served in the White House as the Senior Military Social Aide to the President of the United States. I've served on Capitol Hill as the Marine Corps Congressional Liaison. I've served in the Pentagon on General Colin Powell's Joint Staff. Over the years, I've had a number of titles, but the title I love and I absolutely cherish the most is Dad. I relate what I attempt to do in life with my daughter, with my Marines, with the people with whom I've worked over the years. It kind of focuses and it always comes back to leadership. Good followers make leaders good. And I get corrected and I say, "Oh, you mean good followers make good leaders?" And I say, "No, I say good followers make leaders good." I mean, my individual Marines are the ones that made it possible for me to be promoted simply because of their performance in the commands that I was privileged to lead. I look at my daughter, for example. I've tried to encourage her to be competitive, happy and successful. I've tried to encourage her to make good decisions, and I've been blessed. I mean, my daughter graduated salutatorian in her class, student council president, all district in soccer. I mean, she made me look like a pipsqueak. When I was in high school, I had nowhere near these credentials and nowhere near this success. The more you invest in your Marines, the more you invest in your children, in my case, the daughter, the better they make you look. And they help you be successful, to be quite honest. And so that's been my major thrust throughout my career, is to help those with whom I work to be their best, because it helps me be my best.